record on this computer. Today I'll share you the credentials also. So what was our last session? Just I'll go through that. We were talking about the different types of environments. This all right? Yes. Yes. So last session we have talked about different ERPs and fusion applications and advantages, different environments, and what exactly we are trying to teach, and where exactly will be fit. After completion of our training, you can apply for two positions. One, Oracle Fusion HCM functional consultant, and second, Oracle Fusion HCM technical consultant. I'm going to cover both the things. Okay, there is no question of like 70% functional and 30% technical. It's 100% functional and 100% technical. Okay, both the things we are going to cover. So you will be in a position to handle both the things, because now the market condition is expecting like that only. As a Fusion HCM consultant, you should be in a position to handle both the things. Yeah, please keep it on mute. Please, Ravi, seems you are on unmute. And Vibha, please keep it on mute. And others also, Chakravarti and Anusa, please. Yeah, if you don't have disturb, no problem. Then nice, thank you. Okay, so first I'll be starting with the functional. We'll start with the global HR module. Then after that, we'll go for payroll module, options management, and talent management. Okay. So when I talk with global HR, module, so what exactly the global HR module is? Okay. So global HR module is basically to maintain the work structure, nothing but the jobs, positions, and other information we are going to configure it. Okay. Let's say there is an enterprise, there is a client who is having around 2,000 employees in their Chakravarti. Yes. Okay. Fine. So if any client is having more than 1,000 or 1,500 members employees, they can go ahead with Fusion HCM implementation to maintain their employees' data and what jobs and the enterprise structure. This all has to be configured for the client. Okay. First, what we have to do is we need to go for create an implementation project. We need to create an implementation project. What exactly the implementation project is? It's a group of offerings. It's a group of offerings which we are implementing to the client. It's a group of offerings which we are implementing to the client. So as a last session we have discussed, okay, so different types of modules we have, like financials offerings and HCM, supply chain management, CRM. Again in HCM, they might be having the number of modules. The client can go with only few modules, depends on their requirement. They can go with only few modules. So whatever the offerings we want to implement, and in that offerings also, again, what features actually the client is looking for it. For example, if I say HCM is one of the offering, it has got around 15 features. Out of 15, the client can go with only 4 features, nothing but 4 modules. We will go for implement only that 4 modules to the client. Okay. So first we have to create one implementation project to the client. So what exactly it contains, the implementation project? It contains the offerings which we are going to implement to the client. Who will create the implementation project in the real time? Project manager is going to create the implementation project, or whoever is the first person is going to start the Fusion application to the client. That person is going to create implementation project. Okay. Whether their client go for HCM or financials or CRM, it doesn't matter. So implementation project is mandatory. We can have multiple implementation projects also. For example, financial consultants, what they say, we will have separate implementation project. HCM people will say, we want to have separate implementation project. Okay, it's no problem. We can have multiple implementation projects. Okay, so for our batch, for 10:30 batch, what I'm going to take, the client name is GE Corporation. So whatever the objects I'm going to create, these all are objects, right? This is core HR module, next payroll module. Like that, we will go ahead with the 4 modules. Okay, this payroll module, like this we'll find options management, talent management, this all. Okay, so whatever the objects we are going to configure, that will start with GE Corporation, GE name, so that we can easily understand that object is related to our batch. Okay, fine. So first we need to log into the Fusion applications here. Today I'll share you the credentials. Okay, I'll share you the URL, username and password, and let's not share the credentials with anybody. Please keep with you, and you do the practice and you get benefit and you get job. Don't try to create the competitors for yourself. Okay, thank you. Let's log into the applications. Go to user menu, setup and maintenance. Okay, go to setup and maintenance. Now if I go to the setup and maintenance, I'm able to see only 3 offerings here. Last class, when we were discussing, we got around 25. We got 25 offerings because that client or that instance has subscribed for all the offerings, has subscribed for all the offerings. This instance is subscribed only for 3 offerings: compensation management, workforce deployment, workforce development. When you combine these 3, it is nothing but a Fusion HCM. Fusion HCM, Human Capital Management. Fusion HCM has got 3 offerings. Here we can see offerings. If I select all, it will shows what are the offerings are provided by Oracle. How many are there? 25. But this client, means this instance, has got subscribed only for 3. Like that, client has to pay the subscription fees to Oracle. Then Oracle will provide the access only for that offerings. Oracle will provide the access to only that offerings that we have to implement to the client. Okay. When I say Fusion HCM family has got 3 offerings: workforce development, workforce deployment, and compensation management. 3 we have. We have 3. Let me show you one diagram which will give you the complete picture of all these 3. I'll share you all the documents, what I'm going to explain and what I'm going to open in our sessions. Every document will be shared through your Gmail. Okay, you can just see the complete picture of Fusion HCM here. Yes. Oracle Fusion Human Capital Management, workforce deployment, workforce development, compensation management, span business processes. Span business process, we'll talk about that. Now this is what we are able to see here. These 3 I'm able to see here. Okay. Workforce deployment is nothing but group of these features or group of these modules. Global HR, we can call it as core HR also. Global HR, global payroll interface. Payroll interface, payroll localization, all are similar, but there is a small difference. We'll talk about that in the payroll module in depth. It's not an complex issue. We'll talk about that. So we can say this is global HR module, this is payroll module, options management module, time and labor, workforce management, workforce predictions. Workforce is nothing but a resource. Workforce is nothing but a resource. That resource, work structure and workforce. These 2 words are very important in Fusion. Work structures we'll discuss later. That is nothing but our jobs and positions. This all comes under the work structures. Okay. Who will work in this structure? Resource will be working, nothing but employees. We'll call them as a workforce. We'll call them as workforce. So this is how we can manage the employees, how we can predict employees, workforce predictions. Okay. So this is very simple. It is just management thing. We will talk about that also. But I have not included these two things in our syllabus because that way has to be covered in our global HR and options and payroll. So that's why I have not mentioned separately. So what exactly we are missing here is only one module, only one feature, that is time and labor. That's not actually required. That is for the people who are already experienced in Fusion HCM. They can go with time and labor because that time and labor and benefits and compensation all are advanced HCM. Okay, fine. So that is workforce deployment. Deployment in the sense we are trying to install the HR application to the client. Here we are implementing the enterprise structure. Here we are implementing the payroll structure. Here we are implementing the options management. Nothing but a leaves. Nothing but a leaves. Leave management. Leave management we are going to implement. So that comes under workforce deployment. Next, workforce development. Once we hire an employee, when you are paying the salary, when you are providing the leaves, then you are supposed to provide the development of the employees, development of employee, and also we have to verify their performance, and we need to set the goals to them, and we have to measure their talent, and we have to create one success plan to the employees. That's what workforce development. This is deployment. This is development. Deployment is nothing but hiring employees, pay the salaries, options, provide the leaves, providing. This all comes under the deployment. Once everything is deployed, what we have to see next? I have to measure my employees' development. How I can measure? I will set the goals. I will review their performance. I will review their talent, and then I'll see the success plan of that. So this all comes as a talent management. Talent management has got total 5 modules, but I am able to see here only 4: talent review, performance management, goal management, succession management. One more is here, profile management. Why this profile management is here? We'll talk about that later. Okay, so talent management has got total 5, 4 are here. Next, compensation management. Compensation management is basically after we recruit employees and pay the salaries, after you review their talent, after you evaluate their performance, after we set the goals, after we see their success, then I'm ready to pay some compensation. I'm ready to give some benefits to them. I'm ready to give some incentives to them. And finally, I can see how much compensation I'm going to give to the employee or department or branch or for the entire enterprise. That's what compensation management. Okay, this is 3 options. I hope now you are clear what exactly the deployment, what exactly the development, and what exactly the compensation management. 3 parts is divided here. Then what exactly this span business process? Span business process is nothing but whatever the components are there in the span business process, those components are available by default, all offerings. Some client says that I won't like to go for only workforce deployment offerings. I don't want workforce development. I don't want compensation management, only workforce deployment. They have subscribed. The client has subscribed only for workforce deployment. In that also, the client wanted to go for only 2 features, just hire employees and pay the salaries. That's all. Global HR and payroll. They don't want to go beyond that. They don't want to use other features. Okay, so they don't want. Just 1 second. It seems somebody has got. Yeah, I hope now it is clear. Let me 1 second, guys. Let me increase my speakers. I hope now it's clear. Yeah, Naresh. Yeah, I think now it's clear. Thank you. Fine. Sorry, guys. Yeah, span business process we are talking. So even if client is going for only workforce deployment, the span business components will be available. If client says that only workforce development is there, then this will be available. It means these three components are global. It means these three components are global. These three components are global. Fast formulas will find everywhere. Profile management will find everywhere. Okay, and workforce directory management will find everywhere. Workforce development will find everywhere. Okay, so that's what actually span business process. Client no need to subscribe to this particular part. By default, these three components will be available for all the offerings which are there in Fusion HCM. Okay, fine. So here global HR is mandatory. The client must go for global HR because their only entire enterprise structure will be configured. Their only entire enterprise structure will be configured. That is base. That is the base. After the enterprise structure is configured, hire the employees and managers and configure jobs, positions, grades, locations, everything. Then it's up to them whether they go for payroll or whether they want options management. Or so this is base. Global HR is basically required for every client. It's mandatory for every client. Okay, fine. So any doubts here in this diagram, please let me know so that I can clarify you. Yes, yes, Suresh, everybody is fine. Okay, so let me move into the first concept called create implementation project. Now we have talked about the subscriptions. So when we are working in the project, so we can understand by going through this option. So what are the offerings the client has subscribed? What are the offerings we can implement to the client? Fine. There is a button here, implementation projects. Implementation projects. People who are from EBS background, I can say simply this is like a responsibility. This is like a responsibility, but there are a lot of features in implementation project where we can configure the entire project. The entire project status we can configure. But we can just give a small comparison, like in EBS, we used to have the responsibilities. If we have the access to the responsibility, we can log in and choose the options. Here we need the access to the implementation project. Here we require the access to the implementation project. So let me go for create an implementation project. Create. Okay. Create implementation project. Enter the basic information. Whatever the name we required, we decided to give GE implementation project. Name, code, star mark means it's mandatory field. If you don't have star mark, it's optional. What is the project status? Not started. This project is assigned. Who is going to create this implementation project? This one. When the project is going to start date. And I'm going to enter the end date also. I'm going to say it's going to be closed in another 3 months. So here date format is month, date, and year. We can change this date format also. It's up to the client what format they want. I'll show you that setups later. Okay. Fine.
Is that assigned to?
Assigned to, it means which user is going to create this implementation project and to whom it has been assigned. If we want to just create implementation project and assign to some other users also, for example, I'm the project leader, I have 4 members who are working in my project. So obviously I have to create implementation project and I have to assign to myself plus, and also I have to assign to 4 members. They can access this implementation project.
Okay.
Yes. Click next button. Now here we can see clearly, select offerings to implement. Whatever the offerings you want to implement to the client, that we have to select. But I am able to see here financials, Fusion Accounting Hub, grant management, all the offerings. But those we are not subscribed. Even if we select procurement, okay, order management, even if we select sales, it won't work. Only the names are there. So what exactly we have here is only three: workforce deployment, workforce development. It will be in the alphabetical order. Compensation management will find in the somewhere here. Yes, compensation management. Okay, but anyway, we are not talking about the compensation management. Now let's go to first deployment. Select workforce deployment. When the moment when we choose workforce deployment, it will show you what are the features are available in this deployment. Whatever the diagram I have shown you here, the same information is going to be displayed here. Payroll is there. Yes, I want to implement payroll to this client. Absence management is there. Yes, I want to implement to the client. Next, workforce predictions, individual compensation, these are not required. Okay. Next, something we are missing here. What exactly that? Global human resource. This is not available. See, you will not find anywhere that, because I told you, right? Global HR is by default. This is mandatory. By default, it will be available. We don't need to select global human resource, means global HR or core HR. We call it as core HR. So that we don't need to select separately. Yes. 1 minute, guys. 1 minute. Hi. I'm sorry for that. Okay. So global human resource, we don't need to select. It comes automatically. It comes automatically in the list. Okay. Fine. So here we have selected payroll, absence management. Next, 4 modules, right? Global HR, payroll, absence management, talent management. Human resources, business intelligence, analytics. It comes technical part. We'll talk about the analysis, analytics, data conversion, data extractions, approvals, rules. We'll discuss that later. Right now, we are going purely functional. After that, we'll start the technical. Next, workforce development. Workforce development. First, we have to select the offerings. After we select the offerings, then the system will allow us to select the features. Goal setting, goal management, career management, questionnaires, performance management, talent review, succession management. This. Span business process, we don't need to select. Automatically fast formulas feature will be available. Profile management feature will be available. Workforce directory management will be available. Workforce is nothing but employees resource. Okay, so that we can find in automatically in all the offerings. So now everyone is clear, right? 3 modules we have selected, means 3 features: payroll, absence management, talent management. If we combine all these 5 applications, it will become as a talent management. It will become as talent management. Okay, fine. Global HR will get automatically. Now system is going to ask us, do you want to save and open the project, or you want to just save and close? Let me go for save and close. Okay, so that we'll come to know again how to open implementation project. So now we created implementation project and we have grouped all these offerings. We have grouped all these offerings in the project. Okay, here. Okay. So click done button. I'll show you right from the login page. PRCIMPL and login. Now go to user menu, setup and maintenance. Setup and maintenance. Implementation projects. Here it is. If we want to search for implementation project, here we can enter. Percentage is not required, and also it's not case sensitive. You can search with small letters also, no problem. We'll get. Select implementation project. Okay. The moment when we choose the implementation project here, we can see what offerings we have. Inside of offerings, we can see the features. Now you can see here. When I go to workforce deployment, I can see something called define common applications configuration for HCM. Define common HCM configuration. These two are nothing but a global HR. These two are nothing but a global HR. These two. Next, these three comes as a payroll. These three comes under payroll. Next is the options management. This is options management. Okay. Then we got some default transactional business intelligence, security, extensions. This all we can see later. Okay. Those are additional things comes automatically. Okay. When I go to define options, let me give you the clarity here. This is offerings. This is features. Inside of this feature, this is a task list. Inside of task list, I can see the task. This is what actually the navigation part. So in Fusion applications, we must remember the task names. Most of the tasks will be start with the word called manage. Manage nothing but a create. Manage nothing but a create. You can see the icon also here. When I click this, the task will be opened. One task is nothing but one ADF page. One task is nothing but one ADF page. Or we can call it as a forms. We can call it as a forms. When I open the task, I can find this. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So now this is offerings, workforce deployment. This is futures. This is task list. This is what actually task. Okay. So last session I have explained about this, right? In case after some time something you want to add, some task list you forgot, or you want to add some more tasks in your implementation project. So then what you can do is select and add. Now system is going to ask us, do you want to add the task list or task? Do you want to add the task list or task? So we can choose the task list. Let's say I would like to add define flex fields. There is a task list called define. There is a task list called define flex fields. Okay. This is a task list I would like to attach to my implementation project. We can assign. It has to come, right? What happened?
All tasks at once, or you need to select each task separately?
Each task list we have to select. If we want to go for multiple tasks, then we have to use the shift button here and select. If we click search button, it will show the multiple. We can use shift button like this, multiple tasks we have to select. and go for apply.
Okay.
Task list or task define already exist. Yes, the task list is already exist in our this. You want to go for again, you can go for it. Let me go for done and again select implementation project. We can find it. Yes, this is Chakravarti. One session has closed last time, which is general topic. That video session will be shared. Okay, so that's not. This is first session only. No problem. You can go ahead. Suresh, can we add new offerings also once we added some? No, offerings cannot be added. Only task list. Inside of offerings, task lists can be added. Task lists can be added. Okay, we cannot go for offerings. When I try to select add, it is going to ask me only go for either task or task list. Either task or task list.
So once we create a new project,
yes.
So we have to go for new project then?
Yes, we can create one more implementation project. For example, after 3 months, the client wanted to go with compensation and management. That is a different offering, right? So what I can do is that I can create as an implementation. So implementation projects, we can have multiple. There is nothing we are going to restrict here. Implementation project is basically to maintain what exactly we are doing in the project. And what about the task status, to whom we have assigned, what is the due date of that particular task, okay, when this task is going to be completed, what are the comments or the history of the object. Earlier we might have assigned to someone else, after some time we have assigned this component or task to somebody else. This entire history we can find in the implementation project. But generally this history, if we want to maintain, so far in Oracle EBS we don't have this feature. We used to have separate tool to manage all this information. We will use either Excel sheet or we will use some other tool to manage the status tool. But here in implementation project itself, we can manage everything. For example, as a project manager, I would like to assign this particular task to one person. What I can do is I can select the task first. I can select this. I want to assign to one of my team member. Then what I'll do is assign task. Assign task. Now system is going to ask me for which user you wanted to assign. For which user you want to assign this. Suresh. That means we can have some offerings in multiple projects. Yes, we can have it. No problem. Okay. Now assign the task. Assign same due date to all the users. For example, we are assigning this task to multiple users. Two members has to work on the same task. Generally, we don't find, but sometimes maybe we can assign the same task to two members and they are supposed to deliver the due date. You would like to have same due date or different due date, we can have it. Otherwise, we can go for add to only one person. So who is that particular user? So in the morning batch, we created, I think, this user. Let me search. So this is the username I created in the morning batch. Okay. So we assigned this task, something man is value set globalization. So this person has to complete and save and close. When Praneeth log into the applications, automatically system will show this is the task you have to complete and still due date is not there, go for edit the status. Now Praneeth can go with configure the status in progress and all, and the history will be maintained. The timeline, save and close. So like this, the entire history will be maintained. This is just to manage our entire project. This is to manage our entire project and assign the task to the people and edit and all this. This this management we call it as a FSM, Functional Setup Manager. FSM stands for Functional Setup Manager. Okay. In depth of this we'll be discussing later. So right now I'm just going, yes, okay, we'll create one implementation project. In our implementation project, we are going to have the offerings and other. Let's go to the implementation project and select this and we'll find that. So that's what we are going to have. And here we will find something selected scope. We'll be talking about that later. Status. Yes. To whom we have assigned, what is the due date, and what are the details, everything we can find. That we'll see later. Now here itself we can find the status, in progress, and other tasks which are still not completed. Okay. Fine. So this is the first one, create an implementation project. So it's a very simple task. The moment when we start implementing the Fusion applications to the client, first implementation project will be created where we'll keep all our offerings and features, whatever we are implementing to the client. So the person who is going to start the project first, he will create an implementation project and he will assign the task to the users. He will be assigning the task to the users. Next. Now we are talking about this enterprise structure configurator. Geographics we'll talk about later when we are working with the trees. There is a concept called trees. That time this is related. We'll talk about that later. It's easy. We'll talk about that later. Now we are going for ESC model. Enterprise Structure Configurator. Enterprise Structure Configurator. Whenever we are implementing Fusion applications to the particular enterprise, first we have to understand their enterprise business architecture. When I say architecture, what exactly they are doing the business, which countries they are doing the business, which legal entities they are doing the business, how many branches they have, how many departments they have, how many jobs they have, how many positions they have. This we have to understand. Okay. After we understand their enterprise business structure, then we have to compare with our Fusion application structure. Oracle has created some structure to the Fusion that we have to compare, and we need to go for configuration. First, we will try to understand what exactly Oracle has given first. What Oracle has given the enterprise structure, what is the feasibility available in Fusion applications, we'll talk about here. So here is the ASC model. I'll share you this entire Excel sheet. Okay. Let me explain you here. I'll remove a couple of things. Now we are talking about the client called GE Corporation. Okay. Now this is the enterprise structure in Fusion applications. This is the enterprise structure in Fusion applications. If it is you are from EBS background, you may be knowing a multi-arc concept. Multi-arc concept. Here we call it as an enterprise structure. There we call it as a multi-arc. Some people are from PeopleSoft background. There we call it as a company. There we call it as a company architecture. Okay, fine. So, but anyway, sometimes I'll just give the comparison, but I'll go with as a Fusion architecture. So because some people are freshers to the Fusion entire ERP. So let me go for it. If you have any doubts, comparison, you can ask me and I'll give the clarification. Fine. So now we want to implement Fusion applications to the client called GE Corporation. They have a business in India and US. In India, they are doing the business in Hyderabad and Bangalore. US, they are doing the business in California and Los Angeles. In Hyderabad, they have 3 branches, SR Nagar, High Tech City, and Secunderabad. In Bangalore, they are doing the business in two branches, Electronic City and MG Road. In California, they have 2 branches, In Los Angeles, they have 2 branches. Total around they have 9 branches. They are doing the business. In each branch, they have some departments like finance, sales, admin department. Like this, we have the departments. Okay, fine. So now the client will say here, GE Corporation is the enterprise. GE Corporation is the enterprise. Oracle will give the permission to create only one enterprise for one instance. One instance, one enterprise. We cannot define the multiple enterprise. So what is the definition of enterprise? Enterprise is nothing but a top level organization where the company will have the ultimate legal holding. Ultimate legal holding. It's nothing but a enterprise, just name of the enterprise. Okay, so enterprise level, we don't do any setups. Okay, so that is the top level hierarchy in the enterprise structure we are going to have. Okay, so it is not a business group. From EBS, people may be thinking that it may be business group. No, it's not a business group. Business group, something is there, it comes later. Okay, fine. So after enterprise level will just give the name of the company. That's all. We don't do much setups in the enterprise. After the enterprise, now client is telling that my India business is one division, my US business is one division. So 2 divisions we have to create for this client. To maintain the India business, one division. To maintain the US business is another division. 2 divisions are required. 2 divisions are required. Okay, so 2 divisions we have here. So division is not like always country wise. It's up to the client requirement, how they want to divide their business, how they wanted to see their business reporting, how they wanted to see their business reporting. Let's say Reliance company is there, and they have Reliance Fresh, Reliance Communications, and Reliance Energy. Reliance is an enterprise. Reliance Fresh is a separate division. Reliance Communication is separate division. Reliance Energy is separate division. So 3 divisions they can have up to their requirement. Here in this example, I'm going to say divisions are separate companies. Divisions are separate companies. In this example, I'm telling division is a separate country. Division is a separate country. Okay. Yes, Rakesh. Is it operating in it? No, Rakesh. It's there here. It's there here. Okay. Division is like an high level operating. High level operating. Let me give you one more example so that you will be clear. Let's say Maruti is there. You will find Maruti showrooms, right? Maruti accessories, right? And there is something Maruti servicing centers, right? Service, Maruti service. Here company is only one, but accessories separate division, showroom separate division, service separate division, but all comes under Maruti only, right? So Maruti service, Maruti showrooms, and Maruti accessories. In this example, enterprise is Maruti, and their way of doing the business is different. The complete business is related to the mechanical only, but still they have the accessories, they have the showroom, they have the service. 3 different divisions. Here 3 different companies, I'm calling it as a divisions. Here I'm going to call it as country as a division. So division is nothing but a group of organizations. Division is nothing but a group of organizations. Group of organizations. Okay, I have 10 accessories branches. That comes as a one division. I have 6 showrooms in the India. So that is separate division. I have around 24 service centers. That is a separate division. Like that, they can divide their business according to their requirement. According to their requirement, we can define. Here, divisions are optional. It's not mandatory. In the interviews, they'll ask you, is it mandatory to create the divisions for the client? Is it mandatory to create the divisions to the client? It's optional, not mandatory. First, we can create enterprise. Always only one enterprise we will find. We don't find multiple enterprises. in one instance. When I say one instance, one server, one server. Within the enterprise, we can have number of divisions, number of legal entities, number of BUs, number of inventories, number of departments. It's up to the client requirement. Okay. So that's about the division. That's about the division. Next, within the division, we will find the legal entities. Legal entities we will find. What is the definition of the legal entity? What is the definition of the legal entity? Legal entity is nothing but a legal organization. Sorry. Legal organization where the company prepare legal documents and submit to the government, and also hire employees. This is very important. One of the important question in the interviews is people who are from EBS background, in the interview they'll ask you, what is the major difference between Oracle applications? What is the difference between Oracle applications, HRMS, Fusion applications, HCM? The major difference is this. In okay, so in Oracle applications HRMS, in Oracle applications HRMS, we will hire an employee at business group level. We will hire an employee at business group level. When you want to create employee in Oracle applications, you are supposed to mention business group name. But here you have to mention legal entity. Here we have to mention legal entity, nothing but a legal employer. Nothing but a legal employer. So in Oracle e-business, we will hire employee at business group level. In Fusion applications, we will hire an employee at legal entity level. This is the definition of legal entity in Oracle EBS. In Oracle EBS, what is legal entity? Legal organization where we will prepare legal documents and submit to the government. That's all, which will be assigned to the ledger, which is assigned to the particular ledger. Same here also, same definition, but continuation is there here. What is that continuation? This. We have to hire an employee for a particular legal entity. We have to hire an employee for particular implement. Okay, fine. So that's what legal entity. So legal entity is nothing but a legal organization where the company prepares legal documents and submit to the government and hire the employees also. It's mandate. Next. So in this example, in India, client is telling that I started a business in Hyderabad legally, and also I started business in Bangalore and California and Los Angeles. So we can have for one country either one legal entity or multiple legal entities. It's up to the client requirement. Legally, they have to register with Government of India as per the Government of India rules and regulations. That the enterprise has to submit the documents. Legally, they have to proceed and go for registration. Okay, fine. Next, that is legal entity. Next one is a business unit. Just now, someone has asked regarding Rakesh, what is it operating unit? Yes, business units are nothing but operating units. Okay, so what is the definition of business unit? Business unit is nothing but an organization. Business unit is nothing but an organization where the company sell the goods to the customers, purchase the goods from the suppliers, make the payments to the suppliers, receive amounts from customers, sales, purchase, payments, receiving, cash transactions, projects. This all comes as a business units. Procurement, this all comes. Okay. So in our business language, we call it as a sales offices purchasing. The best example is, let's say I started my business in Hyderabad. In SR Nagar, I have a shopping mall. There I have my branch. In High Tech City, in Inarbit Mall, I have one branch. In Secunderabad, I have one branch. So this all comes as operating units where I'm doing my main business operations. Main business operations. Okay. All these operations will be calculated in this legal entity. In this legal entity, I'll see what is profit and what is loss, what is the tax, and employees who are working in all these three business units comes under Hyderabad legal entity. I have to hire an employee for Hyderabad legal entity SR Nagar branch, Hyderabad legal entity High Tech City branch, Hyderabad legal entity Secunderabad branch. Like that only I have to hire an employee. Okay. So when we are hiring an employee, we will hire at legal entity and then business units. So whatever the business we are doing in all these three business units, end of the quarter or end of the year, we are supposed to file tax to the government of India through the Hyderabad legal entity. Okay. So this we call it as a business unit. If client says that I'm doing business in India around 20 branches, then 20 BUs. BU is nothing but a business units. If it is total all over the world 40 business units, then every business unit is associated with the legal entity. Legal entity is associated with the division. Division is associated with the enterprise. Okay. So that's it, business unit. The comparison between EBS and Fusion is operating unit. We call it as operating unit over there, here business unit. Okay. That's indirectly sales office purchasing unit. Next, after business unit, what we have? Inventory organizations. Nothing but a godowns, warehouses, or stores, or manufacturing plants. Okay, this all we call it as inventory organizations. This all we call it as inventory organizations. So inventory organization is nothing but an organization where the materials will be stored, where the materials will be manufactured or dispatched or inspected. This all we call it as inventories. If client says that I have 20 godowns in India, then we have to take all the 20 godowns details and we need to configure as a inventories in the Fusion applications. We have to configure as a inventories in the Fusion applications. It's an inventory organization. It's an inventory organization. Okay, fine. So this I'm not going to talk much because inventory organizations mainly worked by the manufacturing functional consultant or supply chain management functional consultant. I can show you how to create one inventory, sub-inventory locations, but we'll not be talking about that, how it can be done. Okay, fine. Next, departments. Departments basic definition is everybody knows. In our business language also we'll be talking finance department, sales department, and admin department, like that. So that is also one of the organization. This all we call it as a organizations. This all we call it as a organizations. But here, once we create a department, I cannot assign to the business unit directly. I have to assign the department to the reference data set. Then reference data set should be assigned to the business unit. Reference data set assigned to the business unit. This is a new concept. This is actually referred from PeopleSoft ERP. This PeopleSoft ERP background people can easily understand set assignment or set ID concept. We call it as a set ID concept also. Very simple. Whenever you want to share some information across the business units, then you will go for reference data set. For example, 40 business units client is having. The client is telling that I have 40 business units in my business. Okay. And each business unit, there are some departments. Now what client is telling, finance department is there in all business units. How many times I have to create finance department? 40 times I have to create, right? Every business unit I have to create like this. 40 times I have to create. Instead of that, creating 40 times, what I can do is, department I can create, assign to the common reference data set, because common reference data set is nothing but it is applicable for all the business unit. Let me write the reference data set definition. It is a group of information. It's a group of information shared across the business units. Across the business units. Business unit means this, across the business. Group of information shared across the business units. Across the business units. Okay. What information we are going to share? Departments information, jobs information, grades information, locations information. Only 4. But actually in reference data set, there are a lot of other things also, like customer letters, supplier incomings, and payment terms, receivables, this all. But those are related to the financials. Those are related to the financials. That's why I have not written those things here. Reference data set will combine a lot of other components information also. But right now I'm writing only 4 things here: departments, jobs, grades, locations. Grades, locations. Only this information it's going to group and give the access to the business unit. Give the access to the business unit. There is a default reference data set called common reference data set. What is the meaning of this? It is applicable to all the business unit. For example, when I am trying to create a department, definitely system will ask me in which reference data set you are creating this department. I'll say common. What is the meaning of that? Your department is available for all the business unit. You don't need to create 40 times. 40 times we don't need to create. One time we can create. One time we can create the department and assign to common reference data set. And assign to common reference data set. Some client says that admin department is there only in SR Nagar branch, not in any business unit. Admin department is there only in SR Nagar business unit. Then what I have to do now? Let's create admin department and one reference data set you have to create. Okay, something SR or X reference data set, whatever it is. Create a department, assign to the reference data set, assign this reference data set to the SR. 2 things we have to do. 2 things we have to do here. Create department, assign to SR Nagar reference data set, assign to this business. So common reference data set business departments available always. That we don't need to assign. The moment when you create a department as common, that will be automatically available. That we don't need to assign separately to the business unit. By default, it will be available. But if we create additional department in separate reference data set, definitely this reference data set should be assigned. Let's say admin department is available for both SR Nagar and High-Tech City. What I have to do now? This reference data set I have to assign to SR Nagar BU, then I have to assign to High-Tech City BU. Obviously, it comes as this. Yes. Finance is there already. That whether you assign it or not doesn't matter. The moment when you create a department in common reference data set, it comes automatically. Fine. So this is about the enterprise structure. This is about the enterprise structure for HCM, Human Capital Management. There is something called LDG, Legislative Data Group, and something called Ledger. These 2 things will be entered somewhere here. We'll talk about this. Okay, not now. You'll be getting confused because the flow will become very lengthy and it's going to be again problem. So let me make it very simple. Enterprise structure has got this: enterprises, divisions, legal entities, business units, inventory. Theoretically, we can remember that they won't ask us, and departments. Reference data set is a new concept. It is just having the information. What information? Departments, jobs, grades, and locations. This information. When you try to create a department, it will ask you the reference data set. If it is common, then it will be assigned to the BU automatically. If it is other one, it will be assigned. Okay, fine. So any doubts here? In the next class also again we'll talk about enterprise structure, because couple of times we have to discuss this, okay, and understand the enterprise structure. If client is implementing financials only, still they have to go start with enterprise. Only one structure, the same structure is for finance, and same structure is for HCM, CRM, anybody say. Uh, for example, the client is going for financials, still they have to create the enterprise structure. Enterprise structure has to be created. It is mandate. Okay, fine. So the next session will be on Monday. Actually, I thought of taking tomorrow, but I'm not available in Hyderabad right now. I'm in my hometown. Okay, so some people are attending in the classroom. They are not able to access properly. Okay, so that's a reason we'll take it on Monday. Okay, so the next session will be on Monday, 10:30 a.m. IST. Same meeting ID sharp, and I'll share you this Excel sheet. This Excel sheet I'll share you as well as the video file. Okay, and credentials also. Let me enter the credential right away. You can do the practice today. The password will not work tomorrow. Yes, password is case sensitive. I have entered the credentials uh, in chart window. Please take it. Just you have to click on the URL and enter the username and password. You can create implementation project, no problem. And every Sunday password will be changed. So I think you can practice today and tomorrow. By Sunday, I think it will be changed. I have to update on Monday. Okay. Fine, guys. Happy weekend. Let's have the session on Monday. Okay. And go through the video, and any doubts are there, please let me know. We'll talk about that enterprise structure. Monday session, we will create enterprise structure. This is theory part. What I have explained is a theory part. So Monday, we'll talk about implementing this in the Fission applications. Fine. Thank you.